So, we can say, let me just make this larger. So the table provides statistical information regarding, so that is our structure line, talking about the table first. Okay, so we're going to put that in blue. So it says here, the percentage of journeys made by different forms of transport in 4 countries. So we can just say the proportion of...
Sorry, Leo, can you share your screen, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
The proportion of, we can use instead of percentage. Trips, let's say, made in relation to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modes. 5 modes of transport. In 4 developed nations. Okay, so all I did, remember what we have to do is change the question as much as we can. So it said there the percentage of journeys, we said the proportion of trips made by different forms of transport. We say made in relation to 5 modes of transport. In 4 countries, we said in 4 developed nations. Because they're all developed. Okay?
Yeah.
And then we can say while the bar graph reveals the reasons provided by Canadians, I guess, for traveling to work by car. Okay. I cannot do that. So, remember, because we have 2 figures, we have the chart or the table and we have the bar graph. So we need to say both in that opening sentence. So we said about the table, then we connected with the bar graph. While the bar graph reveals, sorry, that structure here. Do we have any questions about that?
No. No, thank you.
don't be afraid to ask anything. Okay. So now, oh, let's finish writing that. 5 months.
So this is a paragraph. How can we have it? Paragraph. Novelist. Yeah?
Paragraph? This one? Yeah, paragraph.
I want to talk about the spelling.
Oh, yeah.
Paragraph.
Mhm. So, got it up? Now we get to the overview sentence. An overview of the data indicates that. So the overview sentence is kind of like a general starting point. We just want to summarize something general. Looks like we want to look as, are there many differences or not differences? And are there many differences between the countries and their transport use?
There's difference, yeah.
Yes, I think
Looks
so.
like. So we say simply for that, simply there were, or so that's better to, I like to say actually, there was much variation in use of these transport methods in each country, as well as between the reasons
Yes. Yes.
reasons Okay, so an overview of the data indicates that there was only 1 year here, only 1 year in the past. So just was. Much variation means many differences. We could say many differences, but I just prefer to say much variation in use of these transport methods in each country, as well as also between the reasons for driving in Canada. So basically, all we're saying here again is that we see here lots of differences in the use of these transport methods and lots of differences here as well. And that's a general overview sentence. You can use that kind of sentence all the time to say there's a lot of variation, there's some variation, or there's minor variation. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I'll let you write that one down if you're not done writing it down. Yes. What about questions? If something's not clear, you can ask.
What's my variation? My difference.
Yeah. So differences here, many differences. I just like to say, you can say many differences here. There were many differences. Okay. So now, according to our guide, So we're done with this here. So now when we get to paragraph 1, in here we have 2 figures. Remember, there's 1 chart or there's 2. So we need to follow this one here. So we're going to have to start talking about the first figure, comparing the changes in that one. Okay? All right. So we're going to use this line here. Okay. And also, what we want to do, because we're only talking about 1 figure comparing this one, and it looks like to me that car is the highest everywhere. Right?
Yes.
So, and then the next one is 26. It looks like everything here is in order. So we're just going to have to describe it in order. But we should compare between the nations, not just list like you said.
Oh,
We need to find some way to compare them.
nation, yeah.
So 90, 72, 68, 47. Okay, let me see here. So, to specify, with regards to the table, strikingly, that can be our starter. Car use was the highest in all nations. With Canada 90%. And Belgium 72%. Germany and with 68% and 47% respectively. Okay, so I just found a way to say all that in one sentence. You see, car use was the highest in all nations. So first of all, was, only talking about 1 year in the past, was the highest. Okay, so that's my comparative. We should say that. And then I said, in a preposition, with Canada, 90%, and Belgium, 72%, at the top, I said here. I said Canada, 90%, and Belgium, 72% at the top. They're at the top, right? 1, 2. Whereas, just to connect the other side, Germany and the Netherlands at the bottom, with 68% and 47% respectively. Any questions about that one?
No.
So all I did here was I looked at car use and noticed that it was the highest there. So, looks like, which one's the highest in Netherlands? In bicycle.
Okay.
Which one? Who's the highest? Netherlands, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that is totally contrary. So
Oh,
on the contrary, the Netherlands no, let's say not say on the contrary, let's say on the other hand. On the other hand, the Netherlands had a dramatically higher percentage of bicycle use at 26%. While the other nations were below 2%. So, notice here what I said. I said the Netherlands had a dramatically higher percentage, that's my comparative, of bicycle use at 26%. Right? Well, you see 26, dramatically higher than 2. But look how I said the other nations. Because I didn't want to say again Belgium, again Germany, again Canada. I just said it short. The other nations were below 2%. It wouldn't make a difference to say some of them are 2 and one of them's at 1. 1 and 2 is not that different. Okay?
Yeah.
So this sentence here, because it's not the most important figure, I didn't really specify it all very clearly. You notice here, it was a long sentence. I specified everything because it's the most important. So now we're shifting to, or do we have any questions about this one on the other hand?
Yes, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
The last sentence, can you, can we say like this? We equal or below 2%?
Not exactly in those words, Fahima. You could say, while Germany and Belgium had an equal percentage of 2% and Canada had 1%. You could say that. Of course, you can. I feel that it's not so important to say 2 or 1. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Any others?
Netherlands and the Belgium.
You come after.
47% respectively. From respect, yeah?
So respectively means, no, it's a way of expressing order. So in order, meaning Germany 68, Netherlands 47.
In order.
In order. How can I start my next sentence?
Next sentence.
We should compare the higher
Public
change.
transport?
Also.
No, we're going to talk about public transport. So how can I start?
In the
Oh,
Well, yeah, we can say meanwhile. Just a starter I'm looking for. We can say meanwhile, notably, it is worth noting that, interestingly. So here I'm going to say meanwhile. Since that's what CJ said. Okay, I'm looking for sentence starters to compare. Meanwhile, was utilized in Germany the most at 18%. Marginally. Then 12%. And significantly greater than
I think higher.
Netherlands and Canada's
That was
percentages.
higher than Belgium.
Yeah, higher
Then,
than.
so that, okay, thank you.
So another long sentence here, but that's okay. If you know how to do these sentences quick, but you can. Meanwhile, public transport was utilized in Germany the most at 18%. Okay? So that one, which is our connector, was marginally higher, was marginally higher than Belgium's proportion, 12%. And connecting here, significantly greater than is my connector comparative. Netherlands and Canada's percentages at 8% and 3% respectively. So that one I compared completely. So I compared it completely there, all 5. Any questions about that one?
percentage. See, go ahead.
Yeah.
Belgium is proportional. Belgium is statistics or Belgium is proportional.
Sorry, I just want to see it's not right for me. Belgium's proportion?
Yes.
Proportion is another word for percentage,
Okay.
amount. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a mistake if I can use instead of at, can I use which or with, like the most with 18% and proportion like with 12%, even a percentage with 8%, because this is not what I sometimes I use, but I don't know if I do good, you know. Even something else.
So you look over here with 68.
Yes.
So correct.
No, it's down there. If we can go down, and can I use even
You can use with any time.
Okay.
We can put with here. We can
Okay.
put with here.
I understand.
Now, we just want to try to vary it,
Yeah. Thank
but
you.
it really wouldn't make a difference.
Thank
Okay?
you. Yes.
How can I start the next one?
Excuse me, last sentence. Last sentence. We can write like this sentence without respectively or consecutively.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I forgot this word. Thank you. Consecutively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of respectively this time, we'll use consecutively.
Concept.
Yeah. Consecutively.
Consecutively.
Okay. Now we get to the next one. Let's say interestingly here. I'm going to say interesting because I see what is interesting about on foot.
It's 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 interesting because we have 18% the rate of food on foot in Netherlands. Again, more than others. And we have Belgium and Germany with the same rate of percentage.
Right, so that was the interesting first part. Belgium and Germany had an equal percentage. Okay, that's my comparison of foot, 11%.
But Netherlands always understand the use of everything in his country, you know.
Yeah. However, we can say here, however, the Netherlands was moderately higher at 18%. So, and okay. So the Netherlands was moderately higher. No, sorry. I wanted to say the highest here. Was at the top, sorry. I wanted to change to that. So the Netherlands was at the top, and Canadians traveled the least. On foot, 5%. So traveled here just means this journey is okay.
Okay.
Travel the least.
So again, I started this one with Belgium and Germany because they both had an equal percentage. That's why. If you look at this one here, you see? That's why I said this one and this one. Okay. So now we just get to the bottom line. 3, 1, 1, 1. So we can say, we can use our line about while insignificantly at the bottom, this is a standard line that we can use. Were sorry, in all countries, journeys made using other modes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to say it's not important, so I'm just going to say at less than 3%. Well, Journeys made using other modes. With Belgium, the highest, 3%. And the rest at 1%. Okay, lots. That table had lots of information, but it's good practice. We don't really need to mention all the information, I have to say that.
Let's just sum up.
Yeah, of course. See, here's the thing, right? We're supposed to have 20 minutes for that.
Okay.
I can mention all this in 10 minutes. 20, from my experience, it's a matter of just writing the data down. So you can do that really fast. Level 7 shouldn't have a problem writing all this in 15 minutes. For me, I didn't have to think one time. So now what I did do though, if you look carefully, is we have to find a way of compare each variable. I said, oh, they're all, Netherlands is the highest in this, the other ones are here. This one's the most here and the other one's here. This is what the higher levels need to do. I compared each one clearly. You don't need to compare each one clearly. For example, you could say, meanwhile, public transport was the highest in Germany, while on foot was the highest in the Netherlands. Did you see what I did there?
Oh.
I'll say again what I did. I said, meanwhile, this is an example. In Germany, whereas on foot So, in here, in this sentence, meanwhile, public transport use was the highest in Germany. I'm sorry, no rest. And okay, so look at this sentence. Meanwhile, public transport use was the highest in Germany, and on foot was at the top in Netherlands. Oh, and I should put statistics here. 18%. And on foot was at the top in Netherlands. Okay, so look at this sentence right here. Do you see it? Okay. This sentence right here, we can put all that instead of all this.
Oh. Okay.
You see? Instead of putting everything I put before, I can just put that one.
Let me write it.
Well, what's the difference?
The time of writing.
The time of writing is 1.
Make the
I think the
difference.
level.
Yeah.
The level is the second. The other one we have is definitely 7 or 8. This one here can be 6, can be 7. Depending on what you write. Like if you write this sentence with everything we have here at the top, could be 7. But if you write something short, which is what some students do, they write every sentence short and they don't make good comparisons, then that's 6. But this sentence right here, this one, in combination with what we said already, this can be 7 with no grammar errors as well. Okay?
Yes.
So public transport was the highest in Germany, and on foot was at the top in Netherlands. Can be. So I'm just letting you know, I'm gonna take, oh, you wanna keep that sentence? Well, let me put this sentence at the bottom here.
Yeah. Just at the bottom. Thank you.
So let me just take this away. So remember, and what's the difference in words? If we put that one, oh no. That's what we had before. Meanwhile, yep. So in here, you see, everyone, again, starting with meanwhile and before while insignificantly, that whole part, you can put this sentence. So the other one I'm going to tell you again, where it says meanwhile and before while insignificant, you can put this one. If you only want to get 7. But if you want to get 9, like Abdi,
Wow. Great to know. And improved was.
okay. So okay, taking this sentence off. Now we need to go to our second paragraph. We're done with the first. Now we're going to go to the second paragraph right here with regards to, or we can gather from the other one, that right here. Okay? So, with regards to the bar graph, remarkably, that's our connector. Cited no alternative as the main reason for traveling to work by car.
It was you cannot cite it.
For work. Greater than. Okay, so with regards to the bar graph, remarkably, people in Canada cited no alternative as the main reason for traveling to work by car at roughly 38%. So this, which comparing, which was moderately higher than, that's a comparative, need for work at 30%, and significantly greater than.
Moderate, what this is moderate behind it. Significant higher, sir?
Moderately means not too much, not too little.
Oh, Middle, huh?
Yeah, middle. Okay. So again, I just made a direct comparison between the top 3 reasons here. These kinds of sentences, we've done them before, right, Andrew? Andrew says he knows them automatically, doesn't even need to do any homework. We're gonna find out because he's doing a test this week. Do you like my clapping or is my clapping loud? You like it? Okay, good. Okay, Andrew. It's mechanical. There's no thinking involved with this kind of sentence. Right?
So this is the last end sentence.
No. No, we still have more. Now remember, we're already here at a level 7 or higher. How do I know? Because the students that wrote exactly like this, they always got 7 or 8. Okay? Because again, these sentences they don't require thinking. For example, what are we going to say for the last ones? While, we're going to say here, work quicker and work night shift. We're at the bottom with ballpark figures of 12% and 8% in order. So,
When we talk about the at the bottom, it's like at the last one. This
yeah, they're lower.
lower. Okay.
We can put lower here. We can say we're much lower. Let's put that instead since you said it.
Ballpark figures.
Ballpark figures up, what does it mean? Students that have been here? What does ballpark mean?
With a package, with together.
Andrew, what does ballpark mean? Around. Thank you.
Okay.
Approximately.
Much lower with ballpark figures around the figure.
Yeah,
figures.
approximately and roughly. Okay.
Okay.
So, what's our last sentence that we can put here? In our guide, it says that we can, and yeah, this of course is if you have time. If you have time. Again, you don't have to put a summary sentence.
We need to write 150 words
Minimum.
minimum.
Minimum. I would write 500 in 10 minutes. So the minimum for level, no, the minimum is 150. And with 150 words, you can get 9 or you can get 3. It just depends what words you say. From my experience, level 7 students, they are not able to express this in less than 200 words. They can't. Only level 6 students. What I mean by they can't is that they can easily write 250 in 20 minutes. Level 7. It's too easy. Especially now with typing. And if you can't write 200 words about describing, especially this one, then we're not level 7. Because it's not, there's no, like for me, I would not be able to express this at level 9 in less than 300 words. I can't. Because you can't express the information at level 9. So in here, like I told you, we can look at it in a second. Let me just finish here with the summary sentence. To sum up, and again, this doesn't require thinking. To sum up from these graphs, we can ascertain that. We don't have to think about that. This is a standard line. It means you use this all the time. There's no thinking involved. It's nothing new. It's just a connector. This is to say lastly. Okay? So,
Leo, when we can say graphs when we talk about the table and the graph, and the one graph?
Yep. We can say graph or table.
To summary
Mm-hmm.
from these graphs.
The car remains the top choice for commuting. Okay. All right. So what can we find? The car remains the top choice for commuting in these nations. Okay? Particularly, why? Since there may be no other alternatives. This seems like what it is saying, okay? it seems like what it is saying, this graph.
Can I say here, rather than no other alternatives, maybe there is no good public transportations?
No, no. Because the graph is not, they're not telling us that. Lisa, you know how I know it's not telling us that?
Mm.
It's not telling us that because, well, you see where it says no alternative, right?
Okay.
It doesn't say public transport is not good. If it said public transport is not good, if it said that
Or
over
not
here,
available, not available.
sorry?
Or not available, not available.
The frequency.
So
Yeah.
no available public transport?
Yeah.
The frequency of.
No, I wouldn't say that myself. I wouldn't
Okay.
because we don't know what no alternative means.
Mhm.
However, it could say here public transport not available.
Mm.
If it said public transport not available, I would put public transport not available.
Mm. No, I
We should
understand.
go according to what's here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's just look over this one first. This is really good for practicing how we can generate ideas. But this one here, I have to say, is more has more information. First, let's read it, and then I'll cut it down a little bit for you. Go ahead and start, Mabel.
The table provides statistical information regarding the proportion of trips made in relation to 5 modes of transport in 4 developed nations, while the bar graph reveals the reasons provided by Canadians for traveling to work by car.
Okay, then we get to the overview sentence, Micheline.
An overview of the data indicates that there was much variation in use of these transport methods in each country, as well as between the reason for driving in Canada.
Okay, so that basically looks like our graph over here. Yeah. We basically rephrased the sentence and then gave a general overview. Now we get to the first paragraph where we should describe this table as much as we can. So go ahead, Abdi.
Yeah. To specify with regards to the table, strikingly, car use was the highest in all nations, with Canada 90% and Belgium 32% at the top, whereas Germany and the Netherlands are at the bottom with 68% and 47% respectively.
Okay, Andrew, let's get to the other one.
On the other hand, the Netherlands had a dramatically higher percentage of bicycle use at 26%, while the other nations were below 2%.
Okay, and then we talked about the public transport. Go ahead, CJ.
Meanwhile, the public transport was utilized in Germany, the most 18%, which was marginally higher than Belgium's proportion, 12%, and significantly greater than Netherlands and Canada's percentage with 8% and 3% consecutively.
And then we talked about on foot. Oh, Fahima. Sorry, I forgot about you. Yeah, go ahead, Fahima.
Interestingly, Belgium and Germany both had an equal percentage of food, 11%. However, the Netherlands was at the bottom at 18%, and Canadians traveled the least on food, 5%.
Mabel? Yeah.
While insignificantly at the bottom, in all countries were journeys made using other modes, with Belgium the highest 3% and the rest at 1%.
Okay, so now we talked, then after that, we talked about this bar graph, okay? All right, so go ahead, Michelin.
With regard to the bar graph, remarkably, people in Canada cite no alternative as the main reason for traveling to work by car at roughly 38%, which was moderately higher than need for work, 30%, and significantly greater than convenience with approximately 22%. Maybe.
Okay, and next, Abdi.
Yeah. While curriculum and work, night shift were much lower with ballpark figures of 12% and 8% more.
All right, then afterwards, we just quickly summarize what we believe this is telling us. Okay, what do you have here, Andrew?
To sum up from these graphs, we can assert that car remains the top choice of commuting destinations, particularly since there may be not other alternatives.
Okay. So,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Canadian cycling.
cited,
Yes, Canadian cycling.
said. So this one here is 303 words. I can see, well, I can definitely see that level 7s could struggle writing this length. Level 8 and 9s would not struggle at all. Again, these sentences are mechanical. They're not thought out sentences like our essays. We had in this class some Vietnamese students who didn't know how to speak a sentence in English, write 1,000 words in half an hour. It's mechanical, it's like math. You don't need to think about these sentences. That's why they even give this one in the IELTS. Of course, if you have practice. If you don't have any practice, then can't do it. But I would say, like I told you, that we can shorten this one here completely. You see here, we can shorten that one for sure. You can say, like I told you, meanwhile, what was the sentence we put? Meanwhile,
Sentence
no, the one that we wrote, the extra one.
meanwhile, public transport was utilized in Germany.
Mhm. Meanwhile,
Netherlands.
say that. That takes it down a lot, actually, like 40 words. So there are ways for you to shorten is what I'm trying to tell you. I think understanding the idea is very important. It's all about time, right? It's all about time and how much you can write quickly. So the information in this table, not all of it needs to be said. And actually you can see the second sentence here. This sentence is very short. This sentence is very short. And this sentence is very short. Those three sentences are very short. 1, 2, 3. The first one, though, I feel is longer, and it's important to say because you need to mention about the top. And these sentences down here are very short and standard. Now, 263 words, I think, is standard for level 7. I also know this because when I marked IELTS academic essays, there was never a 7 that was less than 200 words. Never. Because the comparisons, the simple comparison and expression, which is done shortly, it doesn't cover all the information and it doesn't cover all the comparisons, okay? So you should know that. And what else can I say? So 250 words, I think, is standard for level 7 or higher. And also Mabel, when she writes 300 words. Right, Mabel?
Yes, and the first time when I did my test for my level, I can do that about the graph. Because I said I don't have vocabulary for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just about finding the ways to express the ideas. It's so easy to express this idea, for example, making that comparison. So I know for sure that level this here is not difficult. And I'm only saying this because CJ and Abdi are new here. The other students, they know how to write this like nothing. Right, Andrew? Just to